I don't want to say I think it's a sad state of affairs. I think it's a very exciting way to live. And I absolutely do think it will become the way of the future.
Why is serviced accommodation the future of flexible stays? What can STR hosts learn from the serviced accommodation sector? And how can our industry drive more midterm and corporate stays? Rebecca Hollants Van Loocke from Frasers Hospitality will be answering all these questions and more on today's Host Planet podcast. Rebecca, thank you for joining us on the Host Planet podcast. Why are serviced apartments the future of flexible stays, and what key advantages do they hold over normal short-term rentals?
Nice to be with you. So how can I describe serviced apartments? We offer the flexibility, the convenience, the safety and the security of everything you would expect to have in your own home. I guess the difference between short-term rentals is short-term rentals are still prone to certain fixed terms, deposits, certain inventory checks and the like, whereas serviced apartments are much more akin to having your own space in your own world, creating that environment that you like to live in, but having all those hotel amenities and opportunities all around you, meaning that you've got the best of both worlds. Making sure that flexibility and security are very key for us, but equally something that a corporate traveller and a leisure guest alike can really benefit from.
How much did the pandemic and the rise in kind of digital nomads kind of boost the serviced accommodation sector?
It's a very valid question. Obviously, during the pandemic, a lot of hotels were closed. We had hotels in our portfolio as well that were shut down completely during that period. And what the service department was able to do was give people that space that enabled them to feel safe and secure in what was a very uncertain period in time and environment, allowing them to work closer to a destination. Many were even trapped in cities and countries that they didn't intend to stay in. And having that home away from home feel, being able to work, having the connectivity and that private space that gave them that security was a real plus. I think it's moved the dynamic, the dial, I can even say, on the clock, fundamentally forward. So today, that's become more the norm than it was even during the pandemic. That's what people are looking for today, that utter flexibility and being able to blend both their life, their work and their travel all together. And I think serviced apartments offer that perfect connection of all three of those elements.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I speak to a lot of people, obviously, in the short-term rentals industry, and a few of them are never in a fixed location. They might be from the UK, but they're always traveling. They're always living somewhere else, and their jobs allow them to do that. I mean, do you just see that trend growing over the next few years with young people just saying, do you know what, I'm not going to have a fixed address. I'm just going to keep traveling the world and going to different places?
I don't want to say I think it's a sad state of affairs. I think it's a very exciting way to live. And I absolutely do think it will become the way of the future. I've got two sort of nomadic children of my own, and nothing pleases them more than that ability to take their work, take their life, land somewhere and continue being able to work, but managing to live all those wonderful things around them at the same time. So absolutely, I definitely think it's the future. It's the way things are going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I can do this job from pretty much anywhere. And earlier in the year, we spent a few months in the Far East. My wife is from the Philippines, and yeah, that was one of the great thrills. Really, we're in a place which it's got a swimming pool, it's got the gym, and it's got all the facilities that you need. And yeah, well, you end up going to the gym a little bit more because it's downstairs, whereas at home, I've got to get in the car to go somewhere.
That's absolutely right.
Okay, real talk now for all you hosts out there. You know that moment when your guest messages you again with, hey, what's the Wi-Fi code? Or you're staring at 5 different calendars, wondering if you've accidentally double booked the cottage. Yes, we've all been there. That's why here at House Planner we recommend Hostfully. It's basically your rentals control centre. It handles bookings across all the big platforms, syncs your calendars to ensure there are no double bookings, automates guest messages, and even creates these really slick digital guidebooks that stop all the repeat questions. Honestly, it just makes your life easier and keeps your guests happier, helping you achieve those all-important 5-star reviews. And here is a little bonus. If you're a House Planet listener, you can get $500 off onboarding for Hostfully's property management software and 30% off digital guidebooks for life. Just hit the link in the show notes and use the codes PLANET500 for the PMS and HousePlanetGB for the guidebooks. And if you'd like a proper walkthrough, there's also a link to book a demo with Frank Bosey from Hostfully. He will show you how it all works. Less stress, more bookings, sorted with Hostfully. So with what you're seeing at Frasers Hospitality then, which segments really are driving flexible stays? Is it mainly corporate? And how is seasonality different from leisure compared to more traditional short-term rentals, which are relying on a summer season and maybe Christmas?
I guess an important point, certainly for us at Frasers Hospitality, we're very much located in key cities at central transport hubs. That naturally attracts a very strong corporate demand, and that is our key focus. They are definitely the people that travel on projects, on events, that need to be in different locations throughout the year for business, and tend to add on, as we've been talking today, a little bit of leisure travel for themselves on the back of that. I think that's very different to the leisure market, which tends to be more seasonal, tends to fit with the holiday patterns of schools. So we get a bit of best of both worlds, which means that our occupancies are high all year round, bringing in the leisure component during those summer months where sometimes there's a little lag, I would say, or a slowdown of corporate business. It's a wonderful balance to have both. But definitely the corporate business does run throughout the year, and it is the segment where we see the most demand for the longest stays.
When we talk about the non-negotiables for short-term rentals, we always say it's got to be amazing Wi-Fi, and depending on your location, you might have to be pet friendly, or you might have to have a hot tub, for example. But what are the non-negotiables for serviced accommodation?
Well, you've named one of them, I have to say, and that is connectivity. There is no way that anybody today travelling on work doesn't need that fast connectivity. I think it's almost even about guaranteeing speeds. People really do need that within their environment. I think it's also having a space that can convert from a very home-driven space to something they can work in, having furniture that's super flexible, that can allow them to sit in a comfy chair and work or sit upright at a desk. I think the way people work today is very different. Having other environmental offerings, if you like, around them. So a cafe where there are other like-minded workers, places where there's a buzz, they can pick up a coffee, they can have a little nibble on the go, and they can continue working. And equally, corner spaces where you can have a conversation like this that's a little bit quieter, a little bit more off the beaten track. And having those opportunities of different spaces within the service department and the environment, not only their own apartment, but within the building and the complex itself, make a huge difference for people when they're traveling like that.
Absolutely. In terms of rates then, so in the short-term rentals world, a lot of house and property managers out there, they'll either have a revenue management team or they'll be using a dynamic pricing software like Beyond or Price Labs. How do you guys do it in serviced apartments?
Well, it's similar, let's say. We definitely have dynamic pricing, and we're changing our prices on an hourly basis. Demand fluctuates and comes and goes. And so we also have dynamic pricing support through AI, through other tools that we use. We have a revenue team that is on that constantly. But we also have a mix of what I would call longer stay corporates that book with us direct, that tend to have fixed pricing for longer periods of time. Those are our stable direct relationships that we build over the years. Then you blend that in with leisure travelers who are perhaps slightly shorter stay, your mid stays of corporate projects. And it's a matter of blending those together to get the right balance for each and every individual property. Obviously, some properties are more corporate, some tend to be slightly more balanced towards the leisure, but it's about bringing those together. We also have tiered pricing. Being a business that can operate on a hotel license, we can take stays from one night to as many nights as we like. So we also have a tiered pricing. So if you are staying longer, you will inevitably begin to get a percentage discount on your length of stay. And we tend to do that after 14 days, after 28 days, and beyond 90 days. So you definitely see the benefit in pricing if you're staying with us longer. But absolutely, it's dynamic. There are times of the year where really you could charge anything you like. For those customers that are really long stay with us, we are always fair and we are always balanced, because we also see the opportunity that they are staying with us in a lower season. So we try to make sure that that blended rate for that longer stay is fair, open and transparent.
And with it being kind of like hotel stroke short-term rentals, does that circumnavigate some regulation in some cities? I'm thinking London has a 90-day short-term rental limit, but with you guys, I guess that doesn't apply because you're kind of like, well, we're kind of a hotel.
We've got different properties with different planning rights. So we have some properties that are hotel licensed and some that are residential. So absolutely right. On the hotel ones, we can circumnavigate that. On those that have a residential license and tend to be much more residential in feel, absolutely, you have to live by the rules that are set, which is the 90-day rule. So we have a blended portfolio in London that gears for all of those elements.
So we've mentioned rates then. What about distribution? Obviously, people in the short-term rentals world, they're trying to get direct bookings. They're on Airbnb, Booking.com, the other OTAs. How do you guys approach it?
So we do have those as well. So we're not exempt, but most of our business is direct. I would say roughly 70%, and that is definitely the target that we drive our properties towards, is a 70% direct business. What is direct business? So that could be the GDS, that could be our local corporates who have direct agreements with us. That can be people booking through our Fraser World Loyalty Program, people booking on our website, calling our reservation centres. All of those would be classed as direct, and they probably represent around 70% of the bookings that we have across the portfolio. The other percentage definitely made up of a mix of OTAs. Probably Booking is probably one of our strongest, along with Expedia. But there are others as well that reach out to further destinations, such as Trip, which is more Asia focused, and Expedia, which is more US focused. So there is a blend that fills those gaps in between, can be driven by OTAs, but the majority of our bookings are direct.
When we talk about direct bookings on our podcast, we often say, basically go where your customers are. So in terms of you guys, are you kind of reaching out to corporate businesses who might need your services? Do you have like a business development team who talk to these businesses who are going to need what you're offering?
Yes, we do. We have in each country where we work, we have a core team of what we would call direct sales managers. They go out, they actually speak to corporates that are local to where our operations are. But equally, we have a core number of key account managers who work, if I can call it that, if they work the world. So they are very much focused in destinations where we are not, where there is outbound traffic to our destinations. They look at the very big accounts and they try and seek opportunities for their customers or their corporate workers to stay in our properties all over the world. So we're working on corporate relationships and special pricing for the very, very big accounts to drive business into all of our properties across the world. So we've got quite a complex team of people who are doing nothing but working those relationships and bringing those people to our door.
And you mentioned the loyalty program that you have as well. How important is the loyalty program in terms of growing the business?
I think people enjoy it. They see the benefit. We're not a Marriott, so we're not the scale that Marriott can deliver. But it is something that our regular customers and people returning to us, once they've had an experience, and we are all about delivering an experience, something that's unique and memorable and that they can take away. They also get loyalty points, and that can help them towards their own travel when they want to travel on a personal basis. That is something that they can grow and put towards. And especially when you're a long stay customer, those points can add up quite substantially rather than your short-term transient hotel stay. I think it is more and more important. I think people do identify that with. Customers on the outside often make a choice because of it. But I think it is a huge added plus, which enables us also to recognise those customers that are loyal to Frasers so that we can deliver something a little bit extra to them when they come back.
I'm sure there'll be hosts and property managers listening to this thinking, well, I've got an apartment, it's in a city centre, it's perfect for corporate travellers, and I want more mid-term stays. So what would be your top tips for how they can attract more mid-term and corporate bookings?
I think it's about understanding what the customer wants for that period of time. Trying to find that sweet spot can be very challenging. I guess we're all after that sweet spot somewhere in between. It's about trying to balance the amount of service you deliver at the price point that you're happy to sell for a longer stay. So it's getting all those balances of all those elements right in order to attract somebody to you. Making sure the core items that we've spoken about, the space, the flexibility and the connectivity are there, but equally making sure that the services you deliver for that period of time really work for that customer while they're there. I think that's really quite key. Maybe offering them 1 or 2 nights free, and that period of time as well can just clinch the deal sometimes. But it's definitely the sweet spot we all try to get to.
A lot of hosts and property managers, when they think of essential tech in the STR space, they're thinking of the property management software, possibly a dynamic pricing tool, maybe a guest experience tool, digital guidebook. I imagine it's similar for you guys, but what does the essential tech stack look like for serviced accommodation?
Definitely your PMS. There's no doubt about it. That contains a lot of information for us, and it helps guide our marketing, our sales, and the activities that we drive around the business. We are also very much into AI, as I'm sure many people are, using it to help us curate experiences for our customers. So balancing the tech tools, so allowing our customers to book online, allowing them to check in online, allowing all of those things, freeing up the time of our teams, our people, to drive the experience and to drive that je ne sais quoi that we all want to give to somebody when they're staying with us. Those are important elements. I think more and more as AI develops and becomes more intelligent, begins to make suggestions about things, I think that's when it's going to get very exciting. There are so many possibilities for AI to be used in the travel world. Even talking to it and talking about where you want to go and the kind of experience you want to have. It's amazing what it can do already. I think it will go forward. The tech stack revolves around giving our customers the flexibility and the connectivity. It enables us to collect data so we can curate those experiences better. And it's about freeing up our people to spend that time creating the experience rather than just relying on technology to do all of the doing and leave the experience alone. That really is important to us, I have to say.
So how do you maintain hotel grade consistency across cities, because you're completely global, while
Yes.
keeping a local feel? Because especially if you've got people there who are staying quite long term, might be like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months,
Yeah.
I imagine they kind of want a local experience as well.
They do. They do. I think there are core brand standards that we have to deliver. It can be about the space. It can be about the quality of linen. It can be about the amenities. It can be about the overall concept of the building and the environment in which you're in. Those can be a brand standard that you can probably find across the globe. To make it that little bit more unique, it's about doing little things that bring the community in and bring those local experiences to the customer. Perhaps I can give a couple of examples. In some of our properties where perhaps a breakfast room isn't big enough, we take a breakfast bag to the door. In London, it might be a croissant or a muffin and a juice and something. In China, we bring a little bento box that we hang on the door, which has got noodles. It's got something that's very, very local. It's a gift from us to you, for you to experience. It's also about bringing in the community to the properties. So we do lots of events in some of our properties. It's all about things that are done locally, bringing in local craftsmen, artists, speakers, that actually bring that local experience into the service department, so that people that are staying, be it that they're from here or from somewhere else, get to experience that local touch. We also work with local partners. We also bring in local goods and supplies, and we also offer those to our customers during their stay. All of those little elements bring that touch of where they are, and we try to surround them with that, because I think, again, talking about what people want today, it is that local experience. It's feeling part of the local community that a lot of people want. We also work with a lot of charities and foundations within the different properties that we have. For example, in Scotland, in Glasgow, we work with the local autistic society. A lot of our customers have taken part in the activities that we do to raise money for that local group. And it is very local. And they take away that memory and that souvenir and really feel that that's part of a takeaway that's utterly unique, that they wouldn't have had in a hotel or another environment. So I think those are the things that can make it very local, while you know that that brand standard that you're looking for is there each time.
Superb. Okay then, Rebecca, we've got a few questions to finish that we ask to pretty much everybody on this weekly show. So, your favourite brand in the short-term rental industry and why?
How could I not say Fraser Suites? I think it's a very special brand because I think it's quite unique. It's all about quiet luxury. I'm a little bit older maybe today than your average traveller, and I think that opportunity to have something that is quiet luxury but still brings in those local experiences and unique offerings, bringing a building alive that is historical, and feeling part of that, for me, is really special. I travel an awful lot, and I have to say that there is nothing nicer than having a moment of peace and people taking care of me. So I would say Fraser Suites as a brand. And I guess you're going to ask me what property. So I would say Hamburg from our collection is a property that I would highly recommend for its uniqueness. It's where we've been able to take a really historical old tax office, and we all think tax is pretty cold and boring, and we've brought it alive with some really unique Art Deco features. We've brought in wellness. I think that's really important today in properties. People are looking for that bit of escapism and downtime. So we have some wellness, we have some food and beverage, we've got the apartments, and we have a space that really makes you feel like you've come home. I think those elements really matter to me.
Very good. An individual in the STR space that you'd like to give a shout out to and why?
Possibly Kayak. I think they're quite smart. I think they're quite trendy. I think they're very ripe for the young people today. I think that's really quite a clever brand. And I think they're in places that aren't maybe quite so high end. I think that's an opportunity for younger people to experience that kind of lifestyle and environment. So I would give them a shout out too.
Nice shout out for Kayak. Finally then, biggest learning from the serviced apartment space which STR hosts can apply today?
Gosh, biggest learning. I think it's all about trying, dare I say it, trying to drive the returns per square metre. I also think is quite important. So in the service apartment world, and I think the short-term rental, you tend to have a lot more space. I think space is a key element of what we do. So it's also about trying to manage for owners, for developers, how to drive returns in that space. Hotel rooms are very cookie cutter, they're much smaller. So it's about trying to understand how to use that space effectively, carve out what people need as an environment, as a home, and actually making it work financially. It really is a key driver of what we do. And I think that is a learning that is quite important. It's wonderful to have space. It's important to make that space work really cleverly, and really make sure that you fit in flexibility and even the furniture and what it can do, and maybe it can transform a bed in a wall. I think those elements are really important within the short-term rental industry so that you can actually drive the bottom line and the profitability and the yield returns for owners. So I would say that's quite important to get your space planning right.
Utilise the space. I love it. Great tip. Rebecca, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us on the Host Planet podcast.
Thank you.
Great to chat to Rebecca Hollants Van Loocke there from Frasers Hospitality. I hope you found that episode useful. That's just about it for today's show. Remember, this podcast is brought to you in collaboration with Hostfully, which is trusted by short-term rental professionals across the globe. As a Host Planet listener, you get 2 exclusive offers. $500 off onboarding for Hostfully's property management software. Just use the code PLANET500 and 30% off digital guidebooks for life. Use the code HostPlanetGB. To grab these deals, click the link in the show notes or head to hostfully.com. For more free education, tips and trends from the STR industry, visit hostplanet.club, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcasts, and download a suite of ebooks for hosts and property managers. That's it for today's episode. Until next time, happy hosting.